look at Akron's head coach, Jared Embick, in his 4th year and 10th overall with Akron, was an assistant coach and learned from one of the best. Caleb Porter now, of course, guiding the Portland Timbers. And we take a look at his first choice 11.
Well, we've got the MAC Player of the Week in Sam Gainford up top. He had a couple of goals against Northern Illinois, but Ben Lunt is having a great season. 6 shutouts in goal for the Zips.
Bob Warming, his team should be getting used to it, facing their 2nd straight top 20 opponent and 5th time this season. And they've had some recent success at home, coming off in an overtime win over Michigan State, and this is a look at his 11.
And he's got speed and chemistry up top and through the midfield, but mostly he's got a top 5 national performer in goal in Evan Finney. This should be a good one tonight, Dan.
Abby Okalaja, the man in the middle in charge of these proceedings. Some of the best numbers in college soccer, Bob Warming's program. They'll be wearing the white shirts, and look at the series history. This should be a close one. The edge has been going to Akron recently in the last 3 matchups versus Penn State. Akron has close to 70 shots, and they've scored 3 goals as we're just underway. Najim, number 10, he's a key piece for Akron there.
As he's playing, Najim plays out of the holding midfielder role, but he's the engine. He's really the playmaker who plays deep. He's got to have more field in front of him, and when he does, he's able to pick out really great passes. You'll notice right away that Akron really wants to hold the ball. Possession is key for them throughout a match.
There they bypass the deep playmaker, Najim, and flashing their passing ability as they move closer to goal. Najim now. Looked like he almost was going to slot it into the area. Stuart Holthausen was ready to fire.
Well, that's something that Penn State's going to have to watch. As Najim has more field in front of him, his vision and ability to pick out passes is critical to Akron's success. He's got 5 goals and 3 assists on his own so far this season, Dan.
Bob Warming, Penn State's head coach, says he's one of his favorite collegiate soccer players to watch, just maybe not tonight. Bologna, the corner there, picking up the scraps, giving it a hit was Hines.
So in these moments when Penn State has got Akron in front of them, they've got to get themselves aligned defensively, define their lines, define their assignments, and make sure there's pressure and cover on the player with the ball.
They'll swing it down that left side. They've worn a path here in the early part of this match. So there the errant pass is retrieved by Reedy.
And this is where Akron exposes themselves in the attack.
Dayon Harris into the area. First good look of the game, and the big keeper, Ben Lunt, responds. Still trouble lurking. It's on to Mason Clerks. Will brush over to Riley Grant. Couldn't accept it. And the other way, it's Akron. So far, this game now easing its way in and opening up a bit.
Well, what happens is Akron starts to get comfortable in their possession. They get deep. Penn State absorbs the pressure, but in that transition, they can beat you with speed that Dayon Harris possesses. It is so important that Penn State stays composed defensively. And when they do, they win this ball back quickly. And Reedy is able to get that ball forward to Maloney, who finds Dayon Harris 1v1 and the keeper. And Harris has a great opportunity, but Lunt comes up big.
It started with Maloney, and then he followed up the play. Just misdirected, though, out of his range.
The thing that has started to evolve for Penn State is the chemistry and understanding with Connor Maloney, Dayon Harris. Aymar Segay also with great speed, but the evolution of Pierre Reedy has also helped Bob Warming and the Penn State Nittany Lions get a little more comfortable with what they have to offer in attack.
Nice atmosphere this evening, Jeffrey Field. Strolling down that left side. A little room there, but it's closed down. That's away by Austin Maloney. And the passing numbers that Bob Warming can pull out on cue when asked by Akron are ridiculous, what they can put up against a lot of teams.
And not only are they putting up 4.5, 500 passes in games, but they're also accurate. They're in the 80 to 85 percentile when it comes to accuracy of those passes.
Had over 800 passing. That's the highest Bob Warming has seen in a recent game from Akron. So he brought up the quote from Pep, death by passing, and they can create some danger. The key is, though, don't, as you've touched on before, don't let them get that ball behind. They were 38 for 38 in throws as well. Hines will bring it in. There's Robbie Sagel. Had his second career goal in double overtime versus Michigan State.
Good pressure from Maloney and Reedy. Just a workhorse in the midfield. Connor Maloney for Penn State. 4 goals, 3 assists, but the engine that he provides for the Nittany Lions in transition and the vision he has on penetrating passes has been exceptional. Now, Riley Grant is 23. He's got a big left foot. He served that ball to Sagel the other night and got the game winner in overtime. They've spent a lot of time on restarts. The 2 Maloney brothers to your left, Sagel and Dayon Harris, number 10 for Penn State.
6'3", Grant, the towering presence. Knocked in by Connor Maloney.
Some would argue a restart like that maybe is too orchestrated for the midfield. But others would argue, and I'm sure Bob Warming would say the same thing, what happens when you start sending bodies over the ball and the ball doesn't move, you start to get defenders biting. They get a little impatient. They start to step out of place, and that frees up a mark on the back post.
Mentioned Robbie Sagel, number 8 in white for Penn State with that overtime goal. That was his second ever, his first career goal. He beat then number 10 Indiana in 2015, so when he scores, they're big ones. Austin Maloney spots Riley Grant coming in. Grant, the long shot. Second stop of this game by Lunt, who was leaping across.
How do you tell a senior who's given you his all for 4 years, or 3 years, I should say, that Riley Grant, you're going to play left back instead of attacking midfielder? But here's the key, Riley. When you have the chance to step up, we want you to lock and load the left foot and test the goalkeeper of your old team. An Akron transfer after his freshman year. Riley Grant with a substantial effort at goal there.
First corner of this game. Segay rising up nearest.
Well, Dayon Harris takes that ball, and Sagel is there looking to repeat his heroics from the other night, although it wasn't off a corner kick. Normally, Riley Grant takes the corner kick from that side, so it's an in-swinger, but that out-swinger allows for Riley Grant. Oh,
Dayon Harris almost gifted an opening goal. My, oh my, so close. It just landed at his feet.
A couple of weeks ago, the speed of Deion Harris got 2 goals for Penn State against Maryland. Look, on the pass back, he's in and around Lunt. One easy touch, and he's mid-stride over that ball. Great effort by Deion Harris.
And nice help by Ruhawk there, also coming in to bother him a bit.
Risky business for Akron. Now they're learning a little more about their opponent, aren't they?
Nice stuff. Maloney. Visions there of Reedy, but it's knocked back by Hines. Did you expect this much excitement this soon?
Well, we understand how important it is for Penn State to get a result, and for Jared Embrick and the Akron Zips to continue their success. These non-conference games for Akron are really important.
Right onto the roof. And for Jared Embrick, the first goal has been crucial this year, but it's Penn State who's had some decent looks so far. He's relied on his giant 6'7" sophomore goalkeeper so far here on the road.
And Coach Embrick was telling us on the phone this week, Dan, that he's concerned about Akron and the way they perform on the road.
Harris again. Clever little turn. What a stop by Lunt. And Lunt reaches to grab it and steals it from Maloney. This kid's a player.
It's outstanding. You just mentioned the key, though, and that's it.
It's now the other way. Trouble brewing. Delicate little poke, following it in. My, oh my, a big stop on one end, and it's Stuart Holthausen with the opening goal for the Akron Zips.
It's just incredible how this game has gone back and forth. A giant save by Lunt. Deion Harris trying to get around Lunt. He's got a couple of defenders to deal with. And remember, Lunt is 6'6", 6'7". Austin Maloney, his sophomore immaturity may be showing there, where he's thinking he can get around the long paws of Lunt. Long ball gets flicked on accidentally by a Penn State defender. Holthausen does a great job. He's a member of the U17s and 20s with New Zealand. He knows how to handle that situation. 8 goals last year. That's his first goal in 2016. And there's concern that perhaps there was an offside call that was missed, and I think that's why Coach Bob Warming is raising a concern. There are 3 situations where the Big Ten has approved video replay in 2016, and I can guarantee you a possible missed offside call is not one of them. In fact, there isn't a league in the world that's using that video replay for offside. But let's take a look. Tough angle to determine exactly. Players on, ball is served, wait for the flick. 23 kept him on the near side of your screen, which is sort of odd because Riley Grant had been pushing forward so much in the early part of this half. Great work by our Big Ten crew catching that.
Harris again. It's Ruhawk getting back. We're inching closer to late October. This is the most exciting college soccer game I've seen through the first 15 minutes this season.
It's exhausting already.
And you get a feeling that that excitement will last. Maybe not the frenetic pace we've seen here to begin. There's Jonathan Lewis. He's a freshman that Bob Warming thinks will be a great test tonight for Riley Grant to match up against. Holthausen, fresh off his first goal of the season. And Grant sticks with him.
Riley Grant has good size to go up against Holthausen. He's got to remain patient in those 1v1 situations. when he gets isolated like that, he has to know that as long as he slows down the attacker, he's going to have support from his teammates behind him.
Third corner on the evening for the visitors. And with some speed and numbers forming, it was Harris, but well defended there by Akron. Holthausen going down.
Yeah, Harris is a great target, but he doesn't anticipate having to run 80 yards with the ball. He kind of wants to do like a 45-yard sprint with the ball. He got it a little early there and needed to wait for help. But that's been one of the changes with Penn State the last few weeks, Dan. What I really feel is that with Deion Harris up top, Imar Segay, Connor Maloney, now Austin Maloney, and this guy, Reedy, doing a great job of evolving for the Penn State attack.
Says Gallagher. Segay darts into the area, trying to sandwich between the defenders.
Segay does a great job on the turn. He tries to sell the foul in the sandwich there, and no bite. Watch that as he works through the two defenders. It's a really decent move, but he's got defenders to beat. Doesn't help him that Nico DeVera was able to cheat inside or cheat outside and poke that ball away.
So an emotional way for Penn State to begin the game. They get great looks, huge stops from the Zip goalkeeper, Ben Lunt. Holthausen marches down the other way and opens up the scoring, but it hasn't deterred their attack.
You know, and it's early. Akron's up 1-0, but I would say that it's a heads-up play from a guy who should be playing heads-up in Holthausen because of his background in international experience. And I think it was mostly a Penn State error that led to that goal. So Penn State's got to continue to work toward getting toward goal and creating those chances.
Ooh, hard foul there in the midfield. Maloney on the end of it. His brother Austin helps up Connor.
Tell you what, I think Akron is probably tired of seeing this guy working through the midfield for Penn State. Every year, these two teams get together, and Connor Maloney, a workhorse, started games since he's been a freshman on campus.
A little terrier, and his head coach, Bob Warming, says he's the Energizer Bunny with the magical protective coating. Only a quote you'd hear from Coach Warming. He's one of the better quotes around college soccer. And he spoke about when his team struggled earlier this year. It was the Penn State flu that was going around that tore around his team as well. And having the running involved with soccer, it's not like some other sports where you can fight through the flu. You just can't cover the same amount of ground, and as a result, his team struggled.
Yeah, and when they came back from California, their starting goalkeeper, Evan Finney, who's in goal tonight, thankfully, was dealing with a pretty dangerous injury. And so your starting goalkeeper goes down, your guys are getting sick from the flu. Not that Ari Amin isn't a suitable substitute, but he's a freshman, needs some time to grow into college soccer a bit. Did a nice job. But now that Finney's back and some solutions have been found in the attacking third, you know, maybe a real strong finish for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, Amin started 7 games, the freshman. This is just the 7th start for Evan Finney. Suarez received a yellow card. He wears number 25 for Akron. That little dust-up we saw moments ago. So under a half hour to go in this first half from Jeffrey Field in the Penn State campus on a beautiful Tuesday evening for a little college soccer. Pierre Reedy gathering speed and drawing some attention.
That's just real strong instincts from Reedy, but Nick Hines does a terrific job, the freshman on the outside. Hines, a four-star recruit coming out of high school, earning a starting spot on a team that returned 8 starters from the National College Cup team last year.
Dished in there by Clerks. Called Akron, Ohio, a good blue-collar town, and they've been a factory for Major League Soccer over recent years. 11 Zips drafted in the first round of the MLS Super Draft, including a league record 5 in the first 8 picks in 2011, following some magical years.
And there have been some guys, some pros who are in Major League Soccer now and even beyond who didn't graduate from Akron, didn't have to worry about the Super Draft. But these guys with their national team experience, Yedlin, Perry Kitchen, Darlington Nagbe, 54 caps with their national team, the red, white, and blue.
Will Trapp with your Columbus Crew, not a bad fella as well, nor player in the midfield. Showing off their passing ability here. Holthausen, the goal scorer. Najim unable to get the shot through. Gainsford will turn it forward. There to gobble it up is Reedy. The switch is on. Long hit right into the chest of Evan Finney. So after a crazy start, things have calmed a bit.
And this is exactly what preceded the plethora of chances for Penn State in the early going of this match. Penn State patience defensively, and then in transition able to punish Akron on the break.
Things getting a little nervy there for a moment. That's secured by the redshirt junior, the defensive player of the week in the Big Ten Conference, Evan Finney.
He's got 3 shutouts, but he's also got a .5 goals against average in the short time that he has been the starter since being injured, which puts him in the top 5 in the nation.
And you know I was going to use this quote, Chris. Coach Warming says that it's because he's got the best goalkeeper coach in the country. That, of course, as he chuckled when he said it, being Bob Warming.
Exactly. It's rare that Bob pats himself on the back, so that was refreshing.
He called it the ultimate challenge facing Akron.
Good sequence now for Penn State, and they get bodies forward. And just as quickly, the Zips are able to transition back in possession.
Calmly behind the ball is Holthausen. He gets megged, but recovered by Bolana. Jonathan Lewis nearest there the freshman. And one of the bigger stories of this match has been the goalkeeping from Lunt.
Yeah, Deion Harris is learning, and it's not going to be easy to get past Lunt. What a rip by Riley Grant. Ben Lunt is up to the task. Another opportunity to go around him. You can't. He's just got such extension there, and he kills the play with those big hands. Ben Lunt has been up to the challenge of Penn State so far tonight.
Watch a guy like this at 6'7", the sophomore. And people have been saying this for a while, and they doubted the John Bushes and the Nick Ramondos of the world, goalkeepers on the small side. But you see the trend in ice hockey, and you see the trend in soccer as well. This is a big man's position now.
Yeah, it certainly is. We do see a lot of small goalkeepers, but first of all, in Penn State, there's a great agriculture school at Penn State. And so when Bob Warming knows he goes looking for a goalkeeper, he knows he can grow him a few more inches when he gets them out there to Happy Valley. For Akron, though, with this 6'6" gift they have between the pipes, a guy with his sophomore year at Akron, but he's got 1 year of college play under his belt, and he played club for Hertha Berlin. That's a pretty substantial experience.
Dangerous player, Jonathan Lewis, wears number 11, hasn't had a lot of touches so far. Out of the Chicago Fire Academy in Plantation, Florida.
Ryan Gallagher doing a great job defensively to snuff out that chance.
The ball doesn't leave the ground much when Akron controls it.
Well, it's all about making it easy for the guy receiving the ball. You can also watch when Akron pushes the ball around. They always push that ball exactly where it needs to be, the front foot. They lead their teammate into the space in which that teammate needs to work.
There's Lewis. Ponders his options. And a wasted pass. Cooley recaptured by the University of Akron. This is Reedy. Harris to his left. Meandering his way in. Cover back now for Akron. Maloney pings the post. Again, Penn State comes very close.
Well, you've heard it's not the size of the lion in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the lion. Reedy does a great job here, but when Maloney gets this ball, he's got two big defenders staring right at him. And he goes right down the middle with the toe poke, looking to get past Lunt. Terrific work by Maloney. Just a terrific effort. And he would have beaten Lunt because he took that toe poke off stride. The goalkeeper's watching your stride as you're coming through. Maloney's so smart to make it unpredictable coming through that crowd.
So close he confused the commentator. Not off the post, but very close to it. Holthausen and Lewis down the near side. It's the intervention there for Mason Clerks.
The pressure comes quickly from Akron, so Penn State has got to do well to take care of this ball coming out of their defensive third.
You watch it there, and you can see one bad pass, and it's going the other way in a hurry.
Yeah, and it's not because Akron is lollygagging getting back on D. That's part of what they do. They're going to win that ball back and make the job easier. They're a lot closer to goal when they win it back in Penn State's defending half of the field.
Harris slipping loose. Nice little touch. Looking to set up Maloney. Now the long hit there from Connor Maloney, rolling into Lunt.
Deion Harris's speed has caused Akron a lot of problems so far tonight. They're lucky Ben Lunt has got the range that he's got in his reach. That could have been a handball, but it was not signaled. And looking for Maloney up top, can't find him. Looking for the older Maloney, and Connor Maloney got the shot off with the save for Lunt.
He seemed to get calmer as he was in the area there. Trying to exploit maybe a missed handball. This opening half has just rolled along from Penn State.
Let's keep in mind that Akron had a rather easy result last time out against NIU. 7-0, they went deep on the bench. And of course it was a long haul for Penn State in an overtime match against Michigan State.
Gainford slowly towards goal.
And I bring that up, Dan, because if the game keeps up with this kind of pace, you start to wonder, how do subs weigh into, let's start with the first half. How do they weigh into the first half of play?
The good news is for Penn State, at least this is the healthiest they've been in 2 years.
And you're playing with 2 wins under your belt. You've got a lot of confidence for sure.
Watch back post, back post.
Fourth corner. They're first met by a rising Robbie Sagal. Najee. Chipped in by Holthausen. Belted out by the Nittany Lions. Nate Schultz will replace Nick Hines.
Well, Nick Hines at that right back position has been chasing Pierre Reedy and watching Deion Harris get by. He's had quite a workout here in the first 30 minutes.
Noah Pilato now entering the match for Connor Maloney. So we settle in for the final 15 of this first half from Penn State. It was a warm day in Pennsylvania and a little bit of a wind, but things have calmed down here around match time.
Gallagher getting tested on that far side by Holthausen and up to the task.
This guy has been flashing his ability all half. Deion Harris pushes on to Reedy. Runs into a logjam.
Needs that support underneath. Riley Grant had already run the overlap. Reedy has got 2 defenders on him. He needs help underneath. A little bit late getting there was Robbie Sagal, but I think Reedy was waiting for the whistle.
Looking to create danger here late with Segay.
Yeah, we've not seen the ball on Aymar Segay's foot enough, in my opinion, for Penn State this half.
Flag coming up on Deion Harris as we heard the big booming voice of Bob Warming moments ago saying keep going here as we approach the final 10 minutes.
It's the one challenge really that you've got is when you're as speedy as Dayon Harris is that you start your run too early and the ball gets there too late. Both Aymar Segué and Harris probably would have been signaled offside in that situation. Segué being the option to the right. But you know, if you're head coach Bob Warming and you've got two speedsters on your roster like that, you put up with the occasional offside call.
Polata was fouled. Somehow, some way, Penn State could even get a draw. Would really help out their RPI here late in the season.
What they're up against is that there are teams remaining on their schedule, in particular out of conference, where they're not going to get as much credit at this point anyway in their RPI should they come up with wins, and that will leave their NCAA tournament hopes resting on their performance in the Big Ten tournament. And so that's why a victory tonight against Akron, 22 in the nation, would be so important. These are the remaining games for Penn State. The RPI to the left, Rutgers at 153. These are teams on the outside looking in at this point. And then after these three games, the Big Ten tournament comes. Right now in the conference, Bob Warming and the Nittany Lions really settling into the middle of the pack. They look like a 5 or a 6 if things play out as expected.
Penn State's RPI 74, University of Akron at 36. And I guess congratulations are in order for Sasho Shirosky and the University of Maryland clinching another regular season title.
Yeah, ranked again #1 in the country this week. They get the victory against Wisconsin, and then actually Penn State helped them on Saturday with the victory against Michigan State, one of the teams chasing them. Actually, the last team chasing them, because Indiana tied Ohio State. And so even without a conference loss, the Indiana Hoosiers don't have first place as a possibility.
Maryland currently leading American 1-0.
Fresh legs in there with Christian Slode now, and Reedy moves to the right side, which shows some of the versatility that Reedy brings to the picture. Just as a freshman, it's quite an endorsement.
This Akron team was unbeaten in 5 matches versus the Big Ten Conference last year. The best result that the conference could get last year was a draw, but it was October 11th, the Michigan State Spartans upsetting the Zips. Holthausen, Gainford, 1v2, be a goal kick.
There's a whole schedule of games tonight, Dan, around the conference.
Few live look-ins. We mentioned the work of Maryland. You can catch all that action on BTN Plus. It's Rutgers trailing in the opening half. Rutgers trailing versus the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Schultz in the midfield, lumped over the top. Looked like Lewis might have a chance at it initially.
We talked about RPI. Notre Dame, one of the best in the country all season long, at Northwestern tonight. Milwaukee at Wisconsin. That's a little interstate rivalry, right? Players on both of those teams look forward to that matchup each and every year.
Speaking of Wisconsin, you reminded me earlier, Chris, when talking about small goalkeepers not excelling these days. Apologies to head coach John Trask in the University of Wisconsin, because they've experienced some joy this year with not a giant keeper back there.
That's for sure. You know, they use him a little differently than I think some people. He's so good with his feet. And so when you see the Wisconsin keeper out 25 yards off his line, playing sort of a sweeper-keeper role, I mean, it's not every game and it's not every situation, but it sure is entertaining soccer. And they've got a big one against John Trask's old team, Indiana, in one of the last weeks of the regular season.
Reedy got a foot to it. Maloney. The pass lands at the feet of the Zips. So shifty. Holthausen, the goal scorer for the University of Akron. Where's number 9?
Penn State's got some fresh legs on the field right now. They just have to be careful not to be so ambitious that they get stretched out.
Bringing that down softly was Holthausen, but poked away, and the recipient is Maloney. Nice pass there by the keeper, Lunt, that begins this attack for the Zips.
Grant's so comfortable on the ball, a converted midfielder playing in that left back slot. Penn State finding themselves pinched in with Akron's numbers in the attacking half, not able to even execute a quick 1-2 and get out of trouble off the throw-in. Reaching back to accept that pass, and it just gives Penn State a little time to get it back, but recovered and sailing that shot wide from distance. Well, focused on the Big Ten Soccer Conference. Time now for our State Farm State of Success in the Big Ten RPI rankings. No surprise with Maryland, Michigan State, Indiana, Penn State on the outside looking in at this point. So too is Wisconsin. Akron in comparison at 36. Akron is the highest ranked team RPI-wise in their conference, which only has 6 teams. That's the MAC conference, but they spread the love around when they pay a visit to Big Ten campuses and play these non-conference matchups in an effort to build their RPI ranking. Saw the nice numbers from Michigan State, perhaps helped by that upset earlier in October versus Akron. Yeah, you know what happens, Dan, when you're playing an in-conference game in Big Ten, you're cheering just for your team, but when you're playing in, when you've got a Big Ten team playing an out-of-conference squad, you're cheering for the Big Ten team, especially if it's a ranked opponent or an opponent with a high RPI, because you want to enjoy some of the credit at some point, as the RPI index measures the strength not only of your opponent, but of your opponent's opponent down the road. Jabbed away by Schultz.
Again, the try from distance cracked over goal, and that's a really good point, Chris. It's a rarity when you're cheering for the enemy.
Evan Finney has been very good tonight. He's covered his goal mouth well. He's got the crossbar watching here in this situation. Not too far off his line, keeping his feet moving.
You see number 9 up top there, the goal scorer, Stuart Holthausen. I love when he gets on the ball. The blood pressure doesn't rise much.
No, it doesn't. He's very calm on the ball. So too is his strike partner, Sam Gainford's done a really nice job. They're very comfortable up there together. But he's got a bit of a monkey off his back with that first goal of 2016.
Yes, the Kiwi does. Grant brushes out wide. Back to Grant. Flag coming up here with under 2 minutes to go in the opening half.
Last 15 or 20 minutes, even now with the absence of Dayon Harris on the field for Penn State, I think the Zips have done a much better job of keeping their line disciplined defensively. And Riley Grant turns his back, so he doesn't see the line till he turns around, but he's signaled offside. That's not the first time tonight. Akron doing a better job defensively with their last line.
Akron is leading, but a lot of chances generated by Penn State. Already 4 saves by Ben Lunt, and a couple of them have been quality. He might be facing another one again. Goes down to the ground to make a stop here late in the opening half.
Well, this is just exceptional work. Again, one of the Maloney's getting involved. Here's Connor, finds Pierre Reedy. Reedy, the through ball through the defenders, and Reedy gets inside the 18. And the save by Lunt. And the follow-through has Nate Schultz down for Akron. Reedy's so good, that freshman on the right side. He started on the left, but I like him better on the right. It appears to be a little more natural for him. And he gets that ball under Lunt. We haven't seen that from Lunt, where he wasn't able to get that ball. But you go down low on a big keeper like this, Dan, and we were talking about size earlier. Once he reacts, it takes him just a little bit longer to get low. And we're talking about hundredths of a second.
There was a little leakage, get some help from his defenders, but he did his part. In the opening 45 minutes on the road, a couple of giant stops from Ben Lunt, a tidy finish by Stuart Holthausen, and it's the Zips on top, 1-0 after the opening half.
It's really important for Penn State to lasso the encouragement and confidence they had coming into this match tonight after 2 significant victories in the last week, and to hold on to it in the second half. This game could be 3-1 as far as I'm concerned in favor of the Nittany Lions, given the number of chances they had in the first half, Dan.
Jared Embick in his 4th year as the head coach of this dominating program, putting on the headset to chat to us here live. And Coach, thanks for the time and thanks for joining us. And you spoke about your goalkeeper, Ben Lunt, saying he was a really good, pleasant surprise, and he was brilliant there in the opening half, wasn't he?
Yeah, he definitely saved us. You know, we're in this position because of him. And, you know, that's why you have a good goalkeeper.
Coach, it looked like your back line tightened up their last line so that they were able to catch a couple of offside calls. What more do you need to do to be able to handle the speed that Penn State's offering in their counterattack?
Yeah, we got to start more compact. You know, we've kind of tried to press, and we've done it in just pockets and not collectively. And, you know, Penn State's credit, they've taken advantage of that, and we dodged some bullets.
Coach Embick, thanks so much for the time. Good luck the rest of the way on the road.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
His program is qualified for the tournament 9 straight seasons. Just one of 5 schools to do so. Bob Warming's team, though, look pretty good. They won't just go away here in the second half. We'll have much more for coverage between Akron and Penn State. And not the only action around the Big Ten Conference is tomorrow night. It's a volleyball doubleheader. First, Rutgers takes on Michigan State, followed by a top 15 matchup, Ohio State and Penn State. Coverage starts at 6 Eastern tomorrow night, presented by Tachikara on BTN and BTN to go. Wonder what the type of pace we'll see from these two teams in the second half.
Well, the pace really played into Penn State's favor in the early going, in that they were able to kind of pick their spots for the counterattack and did a really nice job of creating some very dangerous situations. Were it not for the heroic performance of goalkeeper Ben Lunt for Akron, this scoreline would be very different at this point.
Bob Warming kind enough to put on the headset and join us. And Coach, trailing 1-0, but were you pleased with the way your team played there in the opening 45?
Especially the first 25, I thought we really had some great opportunities, obviously, some great one-on-ones with the goalkeeper. I thought that was fantastic, fellas. I don't know how it looked on TV, but it looked really good here.
It was a great advertisement for college soccer. Tip of the cap to both programs. Thanks so much for the time, Coach.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
So we loved the first 25 minutes. And Jared Embick, when we spoke to him, he said, well, at times our goalkeeper saved us.
Which is just an understatement, to say the least. You know, we talk about goalkeepers and how important they are, and one of the things that coach always wants to get across to a goalkeeper is, look, I need one or two performances or one or two moments in a game where you keep us in it or you keep us close. And I think Ben Lunt did a terrific job of that in the first half.
Early rush here for the Nittany Lions. Breezing into the scene is Austin Maloney.
Reedy does a great job of taking this on the dribble after the steal. Look at him. He's going to get the 1-2 from Harris around the defender. And looking for the cross in the target. No one there at the far post. Keeping players connected in the attack, important for Penn State.
You've pointed out a few times, Reedy has been good tonight. Where's number 11 for the Nittany Lions, who are donning the white shirts at home? Pilato gets ahead to it, saving it is Austin Maloney as he thought about taking the shot. To his brother Connor Maloney. Lofted in by Grant. As Maloney couldn't bring it down, and away by Akron.
Just a little too cheeky from Austin Maloney. Take that touch, get around the defender, and then lay it back to Gallagher.
The defender there is Grant. They get a step on him. Getting a foot to it was Robbie Sagal. Weaseling their way in and getting the shot. Diving to make the stop was Evan Finney, his best one of the evening. Showing off their passing ability. Knocked down into the area. Unable to get it to Gainford for the shot. An overshot.
This is a terrific opportunity from Lewis on the penetrating dribble and then the shot. Beautiful stuff from Finney. Finney gets down and dirty. Had to do that, didn't have to do that too much in the first half. Johnny Lewis, that Chicago Fire Academy, you mentioned him earlier. He's also called into the U.S. U20 team camp and the Jamaican full team camp. So there may be some decisions down the road for Mr. Lewis.
That's what Bob Warming warned. It's going to be a test for Grant. There he tore by Grant. Going the other way, Dayon Harris is fouled.
Well, I understand why you have the inclination. Danilo Rajan gets up and he wants to have an argument about the call, but he had a couple of cleats working in the air after he made the tackle. And a yellow card to Rajan. Slip head collected by Austin, and now to Connor Maloney, and a great ball over the top for Deion Harris. It was that trailing foot that earns the yellow card on the tackle. Deion Harris was knocked around in that game against Michigan State. Actually, wasn't on the field when the game-winning goal was scored. Or he was, I'm sorry, but he came back after the injury. Here's Grant.
Lays it in. A lot of blue shirts around. Switching to Najee. Jonathan Lewis again. The freshman makes the step off target. And the kid's fired up after that miss.
Now, look, this ball outside to Lewis is substantial because it puts Lewis in an isolated position. 1v1 versus a freshman, Mitch Bringoff. Bringoff is a converted defensive midfielder, but look, he holds him off and then gets a touch on that ball as Lewis locks and loads. Great work by Mitch Bringoff. Lewis wants that one again.
Najee, just that quick little touch, and away goes Lewis. He's been getting better, though, as the game has marched on. Speaking of the freshman, Lewis. Still early times here in the opening half. Always a pleasure to be next to Chris Doran. I'm Dan Kelly and our BTN crew. This one's been a treat so far. Akron wrestles it back. Trying to get free there was Kasey.
You don't see that error very much from a guy like Mason Clerks, who's just been terrific. Number 8, senior, holding midfielder. Comes out, does the work every day. Had a little stick-em on his boot with the ball, couldn't get it off his shoe.
Takes a deflection. Oh, wow. Dangerous situation there. Ends up on the roof of the goal.
Well, this is good work on the throw-in. Penn State stepping and Akron doing what they do best. That's movement to the ball in tight spaces. Be a shame if this ended up being an own goal. Robbie Sagel steps in, chips the ball, and it heads back towards his own goal.
Finney gets a paw to it. Easing his way in. Lewis gets it back. Najee. Skiing into the area. Across goal. There's DeVera. Helped away by Connor Maloney. Picking it up deep in the field is Harris. Fights his way outside.
Oh, DeVera does so well to get back. That's his side. Deion Harris disagrees with the assistant referee's flag. Elbow may have been just a little bit too high. It's okay if you reach out and you touch the defender. You got to keep your elbow down, though. Or his hand perhaps up towards DeVera's chin.
Deion might argue that he was protecting himself because the other elbow was raised too, as it was called out a play here. It's just under 38 minutes to go in this second half from the Penn State campus. The first half goal standing up for Stuart Holthausen. Shot doesn't get through. Second try there was Gainford. Not able to get much behind it.
Concern right now for Penn State is they're about 10 minutes into the start of this half is that Akron is finding their way behind. And there's no foul there. Akron's finding their way behind the second line of defense and in front of the first line of defense ahead of the goalkeeper. And there's a gap there that's allowing them to find some chances.
You brought it up in the opening half. It was a rugged match, double overtime win for Penn State in their last outing. For Akron, it was a 7-0 romp over Northern Illinois. Is Penn State starting to look a little tired against a team that loves to control the ball?
Well, there's always a lot more work that you do defensively than you do on the attacking side of the ball. So the more Penn State has to defend, the longer this match is going to feel to the Nittany Lions. But if they stay compact and organized and they get some voices of leadership in the back, shouting confident direction, then they can sustain this battle with Akron, a team, as you said, loves to possess and does so accurately over the long haul. And then you just pick and choose your chances, Dan, like they did in the first half with Dayon Harris getting free and Connor Maloney with his distribution, and hopefully close one of those deals to make this a level game. Because I'll tell you what, if this game is late and Penn State levels the score, I'd really like to see how Akron plays. We talked about being on the road with Jared Embick, and he said he's a little concerned about the composure component that his team lacks when they're on the road facing adversity.
They swing it down to Connor Maloney. Gives to his brother Austin Maloney. Possession retained by Penn State. Connor Maloney, visions there of his brother. Second try, he gets it over. This is Austin. Trying to save it was Connor Maloney.
All right, first corner kick of the match for Penn State. This is a great or second, I should say. There's Connor Maloney on your left and Austin on your right. Two workhorses in the midfield playing side by side tonight for the first time all season. Watch how Penn State plants bodies up at the top of the 18.
It's cool, and we just saw it there for a spell to watch the chemistry between the two brothers. Harris will rip it in. Third corner of the evening for Penn State. Rising up, getting a look with Sagal. Oh, and using his size and reach there, Lunt onto it.
You know, it's interesting. That's exactly how Riley Grant scored on the restart against Michigan State, but that is a well-driven ball to Sagal on the far post by Dayon Harris. The lofted ball always concerns me. It gives the defenders plenty of time to consider where they need to be positionally to win the ball out of the air. A whipped ball in like Dayon Harris whipped in on that corner kick leaves you very little time to react.
Such a delicate balance. Second ball on the field, brushed away by Harris. In the meantime, it's Akron. Darting forward is DeVera. Drops it in, and a nice one. Offside, it was Kassé who got a little glance.
Pretty good sequence here from DeVera. That ball in to an offside target. Gives the ball back to Penn State.
The visitors ready and getting ready for a substitution, as Dambrot will come in for De Vera. Here comes Penn State. They've got some numbers. Just skipping into the keeper harmlessly.
Pierre Reedy, who's been very active out on that left side in the early going here. He's had a couple of chances. Nothing really threatening, but you start to wonder what could come from that. In particular, I look back at the first few minutes where he had that crossed ball to an empty back post.
Maloney. A few tricks. This is brother Connor Maloney trying to slot it through. A calm touch of Riley Grant. If I'm Penn State's head coach Bob Warming, I would love to get Deion Harris more involved. He almost scored in the opening half, and here he comes. Harris had Maloney coming as well.
Well, he certainly understands what he can get from a guy like Connor Maloney, and Deion Harris opts instead when he gets this ball to play to Maloney from Austin now, and in the gap, expecting him maybe to explode in, but what he realized is that Connor Maloney's run was going to be way ahead and no longer of use to him if he opted instead to go to the goal line and play that ball back. Connor would have been well overcommitted and probably not been able to help him out, so he gave it to him early instead.
Coach Doran, you also have a play-by-play background. If they're moving the ball really quick in the penalty area, is it okay just to say Maloney to Maloney?
Yeah.
To save time?
It is. The great thing about that is you can't be wrong.
Sons of Jeffrey have enjoyed this one. They would experience a little more joy if these guys could level it. Dangerous service there, and again it's Deion Harris, who's all of a sudden starting to come alive here in the second.
Deion Harris does such a nice job of winning this ball. He explodes into the gap. Then he's going to hold it up just a little bit, and Rajon's going to have to determine whether or not he goes in. Rajon just wants to keep him outside, but Harris makes the turn. You have to wonder if Harris maybe takes one more touch, if he can get around the edge. I'm not sure, but that's a really great play by Harris. He should have been paid off with the cross ball.
Segay now back onto the pitch for Penn State. It's been a busy evening for Harris. He takes a breath before the delivery. There's what Chris was talking about, giving time for the defenders there at that high corner, but it falls kindly down to Segay. Taken back over by Akron. They're using his body. Segay.
Yeah, he's got Sky Harder hanging all over him, and Segay does a really nice job of holding possession. Some fresh legs for Segay. Mentioned earlier in the first half, we saw a lot of Deion Harris, a lot of Connor Maloney, saw a lot of Reedy on the far side, and thought maybe Segay probably should have had some more touches. So maybe with a bit of a break, he has an opportunity to work himself into this match this second half.
Segay. Advantage played as he was taken down. Austin Maloney enters the area. Again, his brother Connor was nearest, but intercepted by Akron. Jonathan Lewis. Shifting into the midfield and looking for help. Sky Harder. Fresh legs here, approaches the penalty area. They haven't knocked it around in a while. A rare errant pass by Akron. So we look at their passing a little more.
Well, even Bob Warming was bragging about how Akron does such a nice job, not only with the number of passes they complete through a match, but also their accuracy. It's because they've got numbers and players connected. They all know where the ball needs to be headed. They do a great job of redirecting the ball and keeping that ball when they've got it.
They certainly don't stay static. Movement important to give your teammates options, and you see that good movement from this team.
Yeah, it's great understanding of angles, great understanding of supporting in possession.
The Akron transfer, Riley Grant. Where's number 23 for Penn State? The white shirts is poked by Segay.
Ivar Segay does a terrific job of working his way out of a double team. Plays the ball to Maloney. The pass forward is intercepted, and the whistle blows because Segay was fouled, but he was still able to play it. The advantage allowed, but then taken back as Penn State lost possession.
Tearing down the near side, Austin Maloney. Across there, but well defended by the Zips. The beat goes on here late. Jeffrey Field, Penn State campus. Harris down to ground. Long shot! Finding goal. Guess who? Connor Maloney in level terms here in Penn State.
You're not going to believe this, but they caught Akron standing with their ball movement. Deion Harris out to Connor Maloney, and the simple finish. This is a BTN standout for sure. Maloney does such a nice job of placing that ball, which you have to do against a 6'6" goalkeeper. And he beats him with the knuckleball to the upper 90.
Cartwheels and hugs for the feisty Connor Maloney. A ferocious finish. Started with the slashing run from Noah Pilato. Deion Harris keeps it alive, and Maloney has his 5th of the season, and we've got a tied game here at Penn State.
This game has big implications for Penn State, so it's important to point out that when we talk to players, we tell them first 5, last 5 of not only the half start and the half's finish, but also the first 5 minutes after the opponent scores a goal or you score a goal. You have got to be zoned in defensively. So let's see if Penn State can do that for the next 5 minutes. And then beyond that, going back to what Coach Embick said about his Akron Zips, can his team, now in a moment of adversity, having controlled much of the possession and, of course, controlling the scoreboard, can they maintain their composure in a critical road match for the Akron Zips?
Stay with us next. It's The Journey. So a more concerned looking manager for Akron. And not a surprise considering his team concedes that goal. Offside flag coming up on Dayon Harris.
You see what Dayon Harris is doing, though. He's positioning himself in between the two central backs, and he's waiting for that service to come so he can peel off them at the right moment. He just settled a little bit too high up the field in that moment. I think the kid with the vuvuzela is going to sleep well tonight.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's not a bunch of Chicago or Los Angeles kids on either of these teams, so maybe they won't rush to end this thing early to watch the Cubs and Dodgers. As overtime growing closer, with just over 20 minutes to go. Segay kind of got himself in a pickle there. Nudged away by Maloney. Suarez.
Dayon Harris going all in on the pressure. You see what he has to offer in the last 21 minutes.
Getting closer to goal. Najim. Dambrot, he's available.
All right, so Penn State defensively is up to the challenge here defensively, Dan, and I think that's a positive for Bob Warming. And the last time these two teams played here, it was a one-goal affair. Penn State with the victory. That was here at Jeffrey Field in 2014. In 2015, they went to Akron, and it too was a one-goal affair, but it was in favor of the Zips.
That's been the trend between these two. One-goal games. The press continues from Harris. There, the man in motion is Austin Maloney. He'll drop it back. Brother Connor drops it in. Dayon Harris with a little wicked grin knowing he came close.
How many times tonight has that young man come close to scoring? How about this service in? After Maloney lays it back, Maloney lays it in. And that was a touch by Rajan. And I'm not sure if Harris is saying, was that a high kick, or did I almost lose part of my face from that? Maybe Abby Okalaj is giving him the explanation he needs.
Segay has come off. Bollinger in for the Nittany Lions.
So we talked about them withstanding the first 5 minutes after the goal was scored, and what I mean by that is Penn State did not take anything for granted. It's been good for Penn State. The Akron Zips, with a bit of possession, unable to come up with any ideas to really test goalkeeper Evan Finney. defensive pressure out on the far side. Jonathan Lewis on Riley Grant. Lewis knows Grant loves his left foot. Keeps him to the outside. Penn State throw in.
Austin Maloney dealing with injuries. He's only had a handful of training sessions this year, the scrappy Nittany Lion. He's looked good tonight, and Bob Warming warned about it, saying that he's a big texter, Austin, like most kids these days, and he texted Coach and said, I feel real good. And had to be good to hear for Coach Warming, because he hasn't heard those words in a while from young Austin.
Yeah, it's been interesting watching Penn State. I'll check in with, you know, a weekend game or so and see Austin playing, and then follow up the following week, and he's not getting the minutes that you're accustomed to seeing him get. He's still a young player, but boy, does he just... Bob Warming told us he may be faster than Connor. They don't tell Connor that, his older brother. So if he stays healthy, he'll be a good one here at Penn State, much like his brother Connor.
Both the Maloney boys have had good evenings. Noah Pilato. His little run started the fun before. Again to Harris, the shot off the side netting.
This is a charming opportunity for Harris, and he's had a number of them tonight. Look at this early in the first half. Harris exposes the defense of Akron and not able to finish that play. And then just a few minutes later, broken up again by Ben Lunt, the goalkeeper. Here's that service just a few minutes ago. And this one just happened. Deion Harris on the breakaway. He goes 1v1, and he's looking near post.
He's been all over the place. He's had 6 shots. But the goal scorer, Holthausen, the other way for Akron. Knifed off his feet by Bollinger. Riley Grant gave it a crack from distance. Grant looking to shirk loose. It does! It's Connor Maloney, and Penn State leads! And yep, they're starting to get into Akron's head.
This is incredible stuff, how Penn State keeps the ball going. And Riley Grant, who's an attacking central midfielder playing on the left side, comes out on the dribble. He gets one shot off, deflected. It's laid back by Bollinger, laid off by Deion Harris. The shot is deflected again, or the clearance deflected, and Connor Maloney gets goal number 2 on the night. Goal number 6 in 2016, and you just want it for him because of all he's invested in his Nittany Lion career.
'25th career goal. Coach Warming said he's going to make a great pro for somebody one day, and it's been a professional performance this evening. He's got the brace, and the home side enjoying the lead. Lewis with the try.
Hines is back in this left back slot. He's going to be pushing forward. He's got to be ready to play for that ball. And now he's tracking back.
Sneaking away is Harris. Unable to get a step there on Rajan, who stayed with him.
Deion Harris whistled for pushing back a little bit, but he ends up on his back. I'm not quite sure what that call is there.
Looking to get a look at goal. Gainford does, but hit right towards Evan Finney.
I know it sounds redundant, but I got to go to with the 5-minute warning for Penn State. They've got to be really careful here, buttoned up. You don't want to allow an opportunity like that when your central back gets isolated 1v1 against a team such as Akron, you know they're going to face personnel that's hungry and capable of scoring. It's really important to stay connected defensively, Penn State.
Austin Maloney to his brother Connor. Tangled up a little bit as Grant will push it wide again. Mason Clerks trying to side foot it over to Pilato, but intercepted by the Zips. Strolling forward. Jonathan Lewis. Options gather in the area. Holthausen hangs on to it. Now lays a dangerous ball across. Delicately away by Gallagher. Penn State looking so confident here, playing with the lead and trying to pull off the upset after conceding the opening goal in a very frustrating first 45 minutes that saw the big keeper back there in red, Ben Lunt, shine. But they've been able to get a couple by him here in the second half. Advantage played Akron. And a teasing cross there secured by Finney.
That's really great work by Finney. There's a bit of a red flag if I'm on the sideline right now. Riley Grant may be gassed just a bit. He's gone forward a couple of times here, certainly with the enthusiasm of being up 2-1, but you're playing Akron. You could be playing anybody, but you're playing Akron. You've got to be careful and be honest back there as an outside back. Penn State traditionally does not play with the outside backs providing the width in attack. That's not how they're set up. But Connor Maloney has gone right up the middle a couple of times, and he has been successful. Dayon Harris keeps that ball alive up the middle to beat Ben Lunt to make this game even at 1. 75th minute. Dayon Harris again. Connor Maloney again to make it 2-1. Goal number 6 on the campaign.
And tidy work in under 10 minutes. This is Lewis. Strolls into the area to the cul-de-sac Naja. Holthausen. Recovered by Penn State as Segay is pushed down.
And that could be considered a tactical foul that's worthy of a yellow card. There's Harris coming back and helping on D. On the breakaway, Aymar Segay. And I can understand why that wouldn't be carded because of what it looked like, one player running into another, and Segay didn't have a full touch on that ball. I don't know if Dayon Harris is calling for a sub here.
We saw his great work there helping out Connor Maloney, who opened up the door there for the interception. And here's his work and the bump he took.
And that may be why Harris is limping coming up off the ground in that situation. You see how Hines is coming back, and I think it's actually Segay who steps into Hines' way.
His team could use a rest here late.
Sure. It's been a horse race. Enjoyable for sure. Six shots tonight. You feel, and he's been involved in both goals, but you just feel like he's owed a goal because of his effort tonight. Current RPI, let's take a look at this. The RPI for Akron right now is what do I got it right here in the 30s, 36,
35, 36,
yeah, 36.
yeah.
So if Penn State gets the win tonight, they get the credit, and they get the credit for all the opponents that Akron has played, which means if they bump up, they're at 74. They need that help, and the teams remaining on the schedule are teams that don't feature the kind of RPI that would help them in a postseason seeding situation.
And it's a convenient time. They're getting healthy for the first time. It's late in the season. Perfect timing to pull off a major upset and reinforce their belief late in the season. There's Austin Maloney.
Mike. You just wonder if he grew up tenacious because he had to protect his toys from his older brother. Because he's protecting that like a toy truck in the sandbox, the way he takes that ball back. Like the Baroni brothers at Michigan State, you wonder if there are any more Maloney brothers in the Penn State pipeline.
Making each other better, even as little fellas. Akron, they've been a late scoring team this year. They've scored 5 goals in the last 10 minutes of regulation this season. Hines drops the cross in, and another late one in the final 10 minutes, and we've got another brace. It's Stewart, Holthausen, and the fireworks continue.
Well, Dan, normally it's the curse of the broadcaster, but you teed him up nicely. Holthausen's already got 1 in the match tonight. He settles to the far post and gets set for service. Hines is going to lift this one in, and Holthausen's going to settle in right inside the near post. Boy, that's just terrific work. Holthausen, goal number 2 on the night.
You still get a feeling these two may not be done yet in regulation.
So Stuart Holthausen, who's been held scoreless in this campaign after scoring 8 last year. But keep in mind, he's coming back from injury. He's had 4 appearances so far.
Oh, bumping the keeper there was Segay. And remaining down does the New Zealander Ben Lunt. Or rather, the German.
Imar Segay going to get the card because that ball is in firm possession of the goalkeeper. And he also leveled it.
Knocking into the ball and then into the head of the keeper.
Yeah, it's for the contact, obviously, but I don't know that Segay was being malicious with that collision. You've seen a couple malicious goalkeeper collisions this year. Matt Lampson, early on in the season.
Nice
former Ohio State goalkeeper, big guy himself, playing for Chicago.
Battled cancer courageously in high school. It's Marcel Zajac knifing the cross through. Looking as dangerous as ever here, Akron. Level late. Zajac again, darts forward. Half cross, half shot, stopped by Finney.
Exceptional work by Evan Finney in that sequence. Zajac, a Canadian, U17s, U20s. He's a seasoned goal scorer. He knows what to do when he gets to the final third, and Evan Finney snuffs that one out. Hines is good.
holding off Segay with relative ease. Long ball by Hines, drifting out of play. 30 combined shots in this game. If it does make it to extra time, you'd imagine it might end early. Riley Grant back onto the field for the Nittany Lions. Such a big piece. Chris pointed out it might have been looking a little tired, so for Coach Warming's sake, hopefully he returns refreshed. Vantage played Penn State. Through the debris in the midfield, Noah Pilato.
Yeah, a lot of composure there.
Clipped across goal by Grant. Segay waits its arrival. But it's nudged by the Zips, but not out of trouble yet. Connor Maloney almost got it through to Segay and then gave it a drive well over the bar.
Good sequence, good defending from Akron in this moment. They'll look to get downfield. Tell you what, Akron has taken their foot off the throttle a little bit in their effort to keep the ball. Noah Pilato now with Deion Harris.
Digs that cross in by Segay. Catching up to it, Austin Maloney. Deion Harris chesting it down, flag coming up.
Boy, that's a terrific ball from Mason Clerks, though. Deion Harris is pushing back there. Gets the offside call, but again, we said in the first half of this game, when you've got a player like Deion Harris with the kind of speed he has, sometimes the start of his run is going to be a little premature. A line is going to catch him. Akron has had their hands full tonight with his speed.
The Maloney brothers in the midfield. Clerk's pass, though, is red, but does a great job to help recover, but called for the foul there going down to the ground. And it looks like another booking. The experienced man in the middle, Abby Okalaja, has kept control of this entertaining match.
Mason Clerks gets the yellow card. His cleats up. And his knee on the opposite foot actually gets the ball, so in real time it almost looks clean, but it certainly is not. He's a member of the Schreier's Honors College at Penn State. He's a very smart player and a smart student, too.
And he was smart enough to realize that his pass was anticipated, so I better help get it back.
Right.
Under 4 to go here. Hines holds off Pilato. Deion Harris, surprised a little bit there by Rajan's presence, picks it off. Brush forward by Lewis, the man with 2 goals this evening, Stuart Holthausen. We'll watch it out, and a dangerous corner upcoming.
Penn State knows firsthand how set pieces can resolve ties. they used one Saturday against Michigan State. They're on a different end of it now. They've got to be very careful here.
Lewis behind it. Nice service, and getting a foot to it was Zajac.
Service in. Zajac right there. Had no challenge for that ball from a guy in a white shirt. It's a tough ball to finish on the first touch, the way that ball's dropping. Then I thought distribution was just a little quick from Evan Finney. He was sending Dayon Harris into no man's land with 2 or 3 Penn State players, or Akron players, waiting for him. Maybe hold that ball, let your team get out a bit.
Drawing some attention on the right side is Holthausen. Lewis loses it. And a little frustrated, and grabs Mason Clerks. And a yellow awaits.
Akron coach Jared Embick talking about how he was maybe not afraid, but he wondered how his team's composure would show under pressure in an away game situation. This is enough right here, but then you just kind of have to walk away from it. Mason Clerks was getting away. The yellow card to Johnny Lewis, and Lewis has just got to be careful. He's a freshman. When you talk about composure, sometimes you look at the younger guys on the field. He's got plenty of experience, certainly, but it's one of the guys, one of the older guys has to come over and say, hey, not what we're looking for.
Check the score, check the time. Harris, Connor Maloney, back to Harris, 20 seconds to go. Flashing the moves, there's Harris. Keeping possession is Penn State. It's Pilato over the top. We're gonna stick around for a while longer. And that's not a bad thing tonight, because it was a delightful first 90 minutes.
Yeah, it really was solid from Penn State, in particular the second half, where they were able to find some solutions to scoring challenges that eluded them in the first half. I mean, scoring opportunities that they just messed on. Terrific work by Penn State. The Zips with composure to keep it even, and now overtime.
It was the Zips, the late goal. It looked like Penn State might have a chance to pull off the upset in regulation. Now they'll try to do it in overtime. And it is next from Penn State. Continue on as Penn State head coach Bob Warming talking to his group, the Zips, huddling up. Late drama in this one. It was a late goal from Akron. And it was the Zips who have had trouble scoring the first goal this year, opening up the scoring in that first half. Stuart Holthausen had that first goal, and in the second half, things continued at a frenzied pace.
Yeah, this is really great work. Opportunity by Dayon Harris, and he leaves it for Maloney. Connor, that is, who celebrates with his teammates. 75th minute, up or even 1-1. Dayon Harris in the deflection, and Connor Maloney again. Goal number 2. It's 2-1. Penn State has to ride out 15 minutes and keep Akron off the board. But Akron is number 22 in the country, and they are dangerous. Big ball in from Hines. And yet another finish from Holthausen to give the Zips the level score.
What a celebration by Connor Maloney, jumping into his teammates' hands and saying, "Rock me like a baby," as 3 of those 4 goals scored in the second half, and shots galore all evening.
Yeah, it's been terrific. Both goalkeepers have stepped up, too. Remember, I mentioned to you that before we went on the air that this game was not going to be won or lost by the goalkeepers. And I really felt like both goalkeepers have stepped up in those challenges through the 90 minutes.
Look at the overtime records between these 2 teams, and Penn State, they've done some good work late. They'll try to do it again tonight at home. This overtime win versus Wisconsin. It was Pilato who drew the foul. Seen that family score lately. It was Austin Maloney. Tonight, it's been Connor, and just Saturday, it's Riley Grant dropping it in against Michigan State, and they find the late win.
Well, it's great having Riley Grant out there because he's an honest left-footed service provider in restart situations. You got the Energizer Bunnies in the middle, the 2 Maloney brothers, and great speed up top, too, with Dayon Harris.
First of 2 potential 10-minute overtimes. Looking for that golden goal early, and the hat trick. Launching the shot there was Holthausen. You get a feeling if Akron's going to win it, it's going to be Holthausen. And a dangerous opportunity upcoming.
Hey, let's credit Penn State's defense. They've not given up a situation like this, but this might be critical. Akron, very quick, and Holthausen finds himself free. The shot blocked by Riley Grant. Ball poked out. And this is the foul that occurs. And the opportunity.
Lunging in there was Gallagher. Pondering options now. The Zips from Akron. Najim and Hines behind the ball. You would think this is all Najim. It is. Skims the bar.
Najim's got a plethora of soccer and academic honors. He wanted the honor of finishing this game up for Akron in this set-piece situation. With 5 goals on the season, no wonder he's got the confidence to step up and take that shot. But Penn State lives to see another moment in this match.
The journey is next. And the journey continues here in this out-of-conference clash for Penn State against number 22, Akron.
And so important with a 36 RPI for Penn State to find a positive result in this one, because it'll help them, Akron, which has now become a perennial powerhouse in college soccer. Very dangerous. And in 2016 has been successful.
Long hit, rising over the bar.
Next substitution, number 11,
Now, Pierre Reedy had an outstanding first half. He's a 6-foot freshman, one of the favorites coming in this freshman class that Bob Warming is boasting. He's Pennsylvania's leading goal scorer in 2014-15. He scored 43 goals. Played a year with the Red Bull Academy.
Holthausen, the little play to open things up. Zajac. Gainford makes the turn. Gives it a drive. Finney was able to make the save.
I think we're going to see an offside call.
It's the flag coming up.
Yeah, that's what Holthausen is standing offside in that sequence, or just prior to it. Just prior to the shot, obviously.
Grant takes back over for Penn State and now will carry forward. Maloney loses it. But Sagal keeping things safe in the back.
I'll tell you, one of the things I have noticed since the early part of the season when we saw Penn State is their confidence in moving the ball in tight spots has been exceptional tonight.
This started from a tight spot. Harris slows up, gets taken down in the area. They play on.
In an overtime game at Ludwig Field in Maryland a couple of weeks ago, Penn State had 2 shots on goal. Deion Harris had taken them both and scored.
Holthausen off target.
And those were primarily born out of those quick transition situations. There were also some questionable no calls on penalty kicks, and that could be labeled as one of them tonight. Tackle from behind when he takes the player out. It's essentially the referee's, well, you cannot come in from behind. It doesn't matter if you get the ball first.
Harris. There's Lewis by his lonesome. 1v2. Showing his ability on the ball.
And keep in mind, too, that the official, the referee has got communication with the 4th official and the assistant referees holding the flag. So they've already cleared that they're not going to call that a penalty kick. And the referee is going to want to make that final decision. So they're talking about it as it happens.
2 straight home wins for Penn State here late in the first 10-minute segment of overtime. Unless someone can find one here. Hines' shot unable to get through the congestion. Hines has been good tonight for Jared Embick's Akron Zips. Grant comes up with it. Softly forward. Mason Clerks. Harris to his right. A lot of cover back for Akron.
Clerks does well to take that ball, explodes forward. Has a little trouble reading the way Deion Harris is going to make himself available in the gap. And Akron closes him down. It's actually really good defensive work from the Akron Zips. Not only do they keep track of the mark, Deion Harris, but they're also able to close Clerks down.
Lewis. Holthausen hangs on to it. You have to think he's thinking shoot every time he gets the ball. Holthausen with the brace already this evening.
I agree. There's no doubt that he feels like a weight's been lifted off his shoulders now that he's finally got on the score sheet for the first time this season. What's interesting, though, is that Penn State has been in this posture, this defensive posture, for much of the game, Dan. So it's not really new territory for them. And they're doing a fine job so far, anyway, of holding their space.
Lewis sends it in. High hanging service. Lewis.
So what I mean by that is, you know, Dan, if you find yourself running the table the way you want in the first 90 minutes, and then all of a sudden in overtime you've got your back to the wall defensively for 10 minutes, it could be new territory. You could be impatient. You could start to lose confidence. You could start to, you know, wonder, do you have enough to finish this one out and get the result you want? But Penn State has been in this defensive posture for the entire period, for the entire match. So it's not unfamiliar, and they're comfortable.
So a look there of Austin Maloney slamming the water. What work he's done tonight, both Penn State goals. And speaking of the attack, it started in the 11th minute from the visitors.
Yeah, Holthausen does a nice job of getting on the other side of this one. It was a mistake by a defender for Penn State. Holthausen goes around Evan Finney to put the visitors up first, 1-0. And then the second half, Deion Harris to Connor Maloney. And it's that kind of bit of technique that's going to beat Ben Lunt. What a pretty one. 9 minutes later, Deion Harris involved in the scrum and Connor Maloney involved in the scoring. 2-1. Home team's up. They've got to kill 15 minutes to earn a very big win. But in the 81st minute, Hines goes long. Big service, far side. Finds Holthausen, who beats Evan Finney with the near post header.
Nice looks from our crew there. That first goal from Maloney, Deion Harris, I didn't realize watching live, he steps on the ball, almost breaks his ankle, but it's still able to help it aside, and it ends up in the back of the goal.
Are you surprised, having watched Deion Harris tonight, just how much he is able to contribute to the game? He's been phenomenal this evening.
And another 10 minutes of extra soccer, or perhaps shorter. Warm day in Pennsylvania. Things haven't cooled off when you run around for a little extra time.
It's quite possible that Penn State is starting to feel the effects of having to go to overtime against Michigan State on Saturday night. And I wouldn't blame them, trust me. But one thing they cannot lose track of is where they've been successful in getting that outlet ball to Harris. And Harris can't feel like he has to go it alone. He's got to wait and bring his teammates in underneath them so that they can work their way downfield.
Hines. Back and forth with Zajac. This time Gainford gets involved. Gainford trying to drag some defenders with him. He does so. Zajac back to Gainford. Off of Gallagher and out.
They're working through the traffic, looking for their channel. They're paying attention in this 3v3 situation, how they can pull apart the triangle of defense that Penn State's offering, and as soon as it gets stretched, they're able to find a gap.
And Akron, a moving triangle, creating danger. Lewis drops it in. Getting a paw to it was Evan Finney, but it's Akron behind the ball still. Helped out there as Maloney shields off Holthausen.
This is great technical work from Evan Finney. You never want to, for the younger goalkeepers in the audience, you never want to punch the ball back up the middle. You want to punch the ball so it continues to go away from goal. And Maloney doing a terrific job of shielding off the pressure from Holthausen.
He's a thick, sturdy kid. Connor Maloney, who has both Penn State goals there, wearing number 5 in the midfield, ready to turn the other way. Always a good option. Harris gives it a drive wide of the goal.
His defender, Rajan, is 6'2". Watch as Connor Maloney plays the quick give and go with his teammate on the ground. And the big ball over the top. Rajan doesn't know what hit him, as Deon Harris gets a crack.
Seven shots tonight for Harris. And there hasn't been a lot of half chances either from that 7-shot assault. He and Connor Maloney have been teaming up all evening.
How many of those shots have come at the end of 40-yard runs, where he's had defenders on his back? Ryan Gallagher getting up and challenging, earning the whistle. Sajak has been good for Akron, coming in the off the bench. It's a heck of a throw.
Bring off. Stays with it. So initially it looked like trouble there with that clearance. Still lurking though, Akron. Holthausen. This is Hines. Zajac. And the first spillage from Finney, but he'll calm it down.
Well, I'm not sure if we would have heard Bringoff get called off that ball, but Bringoff appeared to duck away as Finney took control of that situation.
Zajac hit from distance, sails wide.
The sequence, Sajak, we mentioned, with plenty of experience in goal scoring. He's got 1 on the season. And a good rip there, good contact, but not on frame.
The journey is next. And the debut of the season. There's Holthausen. The Maloney working on the outside, and it's not the Maloney, it's Austin Maloney. Close to 40 combined shots. A very exciting college soccer match on this Tuesday night from Jeffrey Field on the Penn State campus.
Connor Maloney with his 2 goals tonight is just a goal short of his season high. Last year had 7 with 2 assists.
There's Zajac with Gainford. Zajac, the separating touch and the shot off the side netting.
Well, if you called Mitch Bringoff's defensive error in the first half the reason why Akron scored early, then you can go ahead and credit Bringoff for closing this down. He's just a freshman playing in a center back position for one of the first times in his college career, and he shuts down Zajac.
He gets a touch to it, leading to the corner. Lewis. Finney helps it over.
Finney showing why he's one of the top goalkeepers in the country, though he's only played 9 games. Does well to track this ball, shifts his position. It's a great ball in. It's a floater, but still, it's a challenge.
Another one sent in. The challenge there is met by Dayon Harris, who blasts it away. Final 2 minutes of overtime. Long ball from the keeper. Zajac. Drifted out wide. Lewis catches up to it. Najim and Lewis creeping their way closer. Rising up, guess who? Holthausen missing the potential game winner and hat trick.
6 feet tall, plenty of experience with the New Zealand youth national system, knows what it takes inside tight spots to get things done. Great job physically and athletically to execute toward goal with little time to decide. That's just muscle memory in that sequence. That's a guy who's been around the game a long time for his young age.
1 minute to go. Strolling forward is Hines. Blows the tire.
Hines has got to be careful there. That's smart to run away from it.
.30 seconds. Clock running, driven towards the area.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Maybe one last try.
5, 4.
Well defended by Akron.
1.
And that was a tremendous college soccer game. Tremendous performance also as the Nittany Lions. It looked like they were going to be able to pull off the upset, but that's a big result for Bob Warming's team.
It's huge. You got the number 22 team in the country coming to your place on a night where you're still thinking about that overtime win against Michigan State. Your team is able to put together a solid performance, get a couple of goals,